Hola, bom dia. Carl Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal live stream. I am so glad to be back. Had a couple of days off. Had to go to Lisbon on, when was that? I think it was Tuesday. That was so weird. It truly was like being in the kind of zombie apocalypse, being in our lovely capital. It's changed so drastically since the last time I was there. I was there on official business, I hasten to add. And it was a chastening and sobering experience. Probably less said about that, the better. Want to look at the news update today, this morning. I want to say hi to you all and share with you my excitement about it being Fungi Friday as well. Adriel from Shimejito is waiting in the green room to join us. And I would like to, yes, just whiz through the news update, through the weather, and a little bit of language. I'll give you a bit of a language heads up already. Look, cogumelos, fazendero, and empresa are our three key words of vocabulary this morning, and Adriel will tell me if I've got that right or not. There are several words for farmer in Portuguese, and I'm not sure if I've chosen the right one, but he will tell me, and we'll come back to that a little bit later. So let's have a quick look at the weather this morning, shall we? It's looking like a lovely weekend, actually, everybody. This is what we want to do here on the Good Morning Portugal live stream. Bring you a little bit of news, a little bit of what the weather's looking like so that we can be in our gardens growing food and maybe go to the beach as well. But not yet. Don't go to the beach just yet. And then share with you a feature each day on how to live a happy homesteading life. And, of course, Fungi Friday is all about that. So, look at the weather. I'm going to scroll through these fairly quickly. But Lisbon, as I mentioned earlier on, a fine weekend to come. Temperatures are 25 degrees. And I think it's looking like that across the country. Excellent timing for the weekend. That's if we still have any idea what a weekend really is in how we've been reconditioned to look at life in the last few weeks. But look, nice high temperatures, 23s, 24s, 25s, 26s, both Saturday and Sunday, and that lasting through till Monday in many places. And not much rain on the horizon currently, so that's really good. I can't see any forecast for rain across the whole country for the next few days, almost a week. So that's excellent news and a lovely weekend to look forward to in the autonomous regions of the Azores and Madeira as well. Not so warm in Madeira at the moment or for the weekend, and a little bit. Oh, there's the only rain appearing on our landscape in the Azores on Saturday and Sunday and Monday and Tuesday. So pretty rainy in the Azores right now. So, sorry for the weekend. Okay. Good weather to look forward to this weekend. Let's take a look now at Jorge Branco's coverage of what's going on in Portugal regarding COVID-19. And he, of course, provides us with fantastic information. And he has now suggested you might subscribe and make a donation, which I think is a really good idea. Look, George's way of doing this, a lot more of this now, you know, with the way the Good Morning Portugal live stream works, we ask you to support us with seeds. George favors a tosta mista if you want to support his work, which I will be doing because I've really benefited from his updates. Wow, all I can say is thank you so much, says George, to everyone who's already subscribed or bought me a tosta mista. It really makes a big difference. It does make a big difference being able to eat. Here are his numbers. I won't go too much into his detail. You can subscribe yourself, of course, to jorgebranco.substack.com, and you can subscribe to that and give him a donation, I think, of €5 a month for the service. It's really good the way he does it, and you're not dealing with some major news corporation. You're dealing with an individual who I believe his heart is in the right place. So with the numbers, with the graphic here that you can see, pretty steady again. This was of yesterday, with a slightly smaller increase in new confirmed cases and 3 fewer deaths. It's the 6th day in a row we've seen an increase in cases below 250, but the increase in confirmed recoveries is much lower than we've been used to. Look, 28,319 confirmed cases in Portugal. That's 187 new ones. That's a 0.66, less than 1% percentage increase. Deaths, 1,184, 9 new deaths, sadly, with the death toll there. And the increased percentage there is less than 1%, also at 0.77. And the figure that we like to look forward to, the positive figure of recoveries, 3,198. It's quite a strict testing regime in Portugal. So those are all good. I think double tested recoveries, 3,198. There was a typo. Look how thorough he is. I apologize for a typo in yesterday's stats. The total confirmed cases should be 28,132, not 28,312. Very thorough. Provisional. These are headlines. Provisional figures show no significant consequences from reopening. I would have thought it's a bit early to say that, but from Publico also 1 in 5 Portuguese say they're having trouble accessing masks, mostly because of the price. That's what, disaster capitalism for you, I suppose, isn't it? 40% of people lost their income totally or partially. That is unimaginable, isn't it? And you know, the pain of that will be felt privately and personally by people, and you really don't get a sense of that from any news source. How could you? But that is pretty devastating, and we'll relate to this when we talk to Adriel and how to become your own boss, your own farmer, and not be one of the crops. I mean, this is the problem. This is what I was saying to Adriel just recently, is that at the moment, farming is like the corporations are farming us as people, and we're the crop. Time has come, folks, to become a farmer yourself again. That's what we're all about on the Happy Homesteading here on the Good Morning Portugal live stream. SNS, the health service, would have been short 352 intensive care beds if it hadn't been reinforced. I'm guessing they're talking about the lockdown there. So there's your numbers. I'm going to move on. Make of that what you will. The general sense I get at the moment is that we're looking really at what the governments around the world are doing to people now as we move into the next stage, you know, and how people are looking at how the governments are going to support them. And then obviously the governments are going to say, this is what we're going to do. Alongside that, we can figure out for ourselves what we're going to do as a response. And I think that's really important, you know, in this fork in the road of, is it back to normal or is it back to nature? For us here, I think it's about back to nature as best as we possibly can. Obviously, we have to relate to the world, the big wider world, the old empire, as I call it. It's like a Ridley Scott movie, I think, at the moment. But this is all about being more self-sufficient, about growing your own, about becoming a resource in your local community and making things much more human scale, local scale, and less corporate. That's what we're about here on Good Morning Portugal. And just a few hellos before we bring Adriel on and really get into Fungi Friday. The first of four, each of the Fridays ahead of us for the next 4 weeks will be Fungi Friday, digging deep, pardon the pun, into mushroom farming and its wider context. It's really interesting where Adriel and the guys at Shimejito are positioning this, their business, their empresa, if I use the Portuguese word. Good morning, brother. Welcome back. I've missed you, Druba. Great to have your comment and your input. Eloise, welcome back. Good morning, all. And at that point, I should say, I've got to share another quick screen before we do Fungi Friday. Look at this. The Good Morning Portugal Wine Club begins on the 23rd of May, 9 p.m. And Eloise is, I don't know if it's fair to call her or accurate to call her a sommelier, because you might have to have an accreditation for that. But she is leading our wine tasting of a selected, as yet unselected Portuguese wine. Join us for that. That should be a fun evening. So good morning to you, Eloise. Great to have your company. Debbie's here. She's our guest on Tuesday of next week. How she's recovered from the flood that completely took her out last year, I believe. Good morning, Cole. Looking forward to being on the show next week. Yeah, you'll be with us on Tuesday, looking at the incredible recovery that you've gone through with your home there. Good morning, Chris Healy from Eloise. Glad you could join us. Good morning, Chris. Great to have you. Bom dia e bom fim de semana a todos. Check you out, Neil, with your Portuguese. Loving that. Thank you very much. The more Portuguese spoken in the comments, the better, as far as I'm concerned. And morning from Fundao, from Julie. Have you recovered from your cherry harvesting yet, Julie? A well-earned Matthias Rose. Thank you so much for that picture of you enjoying the Good Morning Portugal live stream whilst quaffing a Matthias Rose from the comfort of your living room. So, yeah, thanks, everybody, for saying hi. It's great to be back. It really is great to be back. And it is also wonderful to have good morning to you, Gary, as well, in Alvaiazara. It is wonderful to have Adriel from Shimejito with us right now. Good morning to you. Olá, bom dia.
Bom dia. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Julie, here from Fundao also.
Oh, yes, because you're in Fundao, aren't you? How is your weather? We Brits like to talk about the weather. How is it in Fundao this morning?
Today, it's not raining. In the week, it rained a lot. But now it's quite clear. I'm here actually in Alcaide. Alcaide, it's a village here in Fundão. It's in the Serra da Gardonha. But it's a good weather right now.
Wonderful. Fantastic. Thanks so much for joining us. First of four. The way I put this, Adriel, was that you're the Brazilian banker turned fungi farmer and futurist, because I think you've got it's not just about growing mushrooms, which you obviously do and you have done, but you're really positioning this, talking about this from the point of view of how we might reinvent ourselves economically. Is that fair to say?
Totally. And I think we need to stand for these new ways to make economy works, to to make alternatives for what you're using right now, because simply doesn't work. And we need to not just speak but need to act, and that's what we can do here in Shimejito, is pretty much act locally to uh, solve globally our problems right now with all the production chain. And that's interesting because since I came from the corporations, from the bank system, I really think you need to make some change now about what you think about our own lives and how we are you really sustainable.
Yeah, amazing. So tell us about that story. I mean, how did a man who was in banking become a farmer effectively, and then want to change the world in this way?
Yes. Pretty much, I think the banks are institutions that were created to have a purpose. Just you can save something that you have after some surplus. But the problem is when you start to just print money, and you start to just put people and put all this effort, the society effort, to be a society that just consume things, not produces. And that was what they done. And I realized that when I was starting to be an executive in Banco do Brasil. And the thing is, I uh, I really I really just think banks as this interface that you have with each other to make some trust, to trade, and to save something there. Not anymore. I think they, for our mindset, still fundamental. We still need banks somehow, but we need to rethink the way you use banks and the way you relation with people. If you can trust in some coin, in some objective, in some company, we can really make things work. And I think that was the click to make my mind diverge for the objectives for the bank. And I'm pretty glad about it because I did that 3 years from now. I took the decision. I took one more year just preparing myself and learning about the market, which ones will be needed by people in the next years. And somehow, unfortunately, my predictions were right. And now we are facing a problem that puts everyone here and everyone around the globe in a position very, very unfair, I think. But that's it. I think we need to reinvent the way we look, the tools that society created to us, to use that properly.
Yeah, amazing. And I suppose it's that idea of like how the banks might serve people rather than the other way around, right? Because somehow they managed to
Exactly.
change the relationship so that everyone works for the bank now and finance rather than the other way around.
Exactly, and I think is it one thing is economy, one another thing is banks and commercial banks. Are you there? Are you listening to me?
Has he been on a Matthias for breakfast and fallen off his chair? Someone pick Carl Munson up if he's fallen off his chair. The conspiracy theorist in me would like to think that when we started talking about banking, our internet got cut off, but I'm sure it's not that at all. I'm just sure. I think it's an unstable connection. Sorry, Adriel. So sorry to everyone who's watching. We're not starting over, Chantal. We're back. We're just talking about the how banking. How Adriel came from banking to become a mushroom farmer. So maybe if you can hear me now, Adriel, you seem to have frozen up as well. It's like we've all been on the Matthews. We can still see you, just can't see Carl. Okay, so I'm catching up now. Are you there, Adriel? No, I don't think you can hear me now.
I'm here.
Oh, good. Okay,
I'm
fantastic.
here.
Fantastic. Okay, so we're fast forwarding from the. Oh, sorry, we're having a bit of a struggle here, but I'm sure it will settle down. I'm hoping it will settle down. There you are. You've seen a certain way that banking operates that is not quite appropriate for you. You decide to get into mushroom farming. Can you tell us about from that point? You know, how did you start growing mushrooms? How did you go from banking into the physical work of growing mushrooms, Adriel?
Yes. So after I studied a little bit about the market, I looked for a new path that you need to seek and need to go for it, because it's a way that we can not just regenerate the nature and products. So when I was into a seminar about mushroom productions in Embrapa in Brazil, invited by my brother-in-law, that you can't do that. But is it doable? I asked him, and he said to me, yes, totally, we can try. And then I rent an apartment. I started for open business and investments. So then, since I realized that it was a viable business model, I started to produce, and our expectations were, but since we started to make that, I couldn't stop anymore. So I got invited to participate into the 2018, and they invited me to apply for the startup visa program, and then we just got it. We are here now, scaling this opportunity for more people with a tested business model, with a worry about what could be the future, because we will not have more pension funds and all the current insurances devices working by the future. It doesn't work. We're just looking right now at a very high economic crisis that people will lose money and will lose their savings. And that's why I think you can start to rethink, not just with mushrooms, but they are live now. You can enter into this initiative now and build with us what's going to be to the future. It's a totally new company that believes in other changes, other minds are needed for society, for us, just like this.
I can just about hear you. It's great. We've got a good enough connection, I think, and we welcome any questions from and comments. And there's a comment here from Gary. Fact is, and it's a sad reality, that big money is made on loans. And just as austerity was beginning to come to an end, many people will find themselves right back where they started or worse. The only people that gain are the mega rich who control the money supply. I think there's some truth in that. But what we're talking about here, Gary, and you know, just generally among ourselves, I think we are looking at being less vulnerable. And I think the way you're talking, Adriel, is exactly that, is to become less vulnerable and less dependent on the corporate system. And you're offering a way to do that. So how do people specifically get involved? You know, can they kind of buy a farm in a box and start going with you at the moment?
Yeah, it's pretty easy actually. You can just enter into our website, it's shimejito.com. You put the address there. But you don't need just to open your farm to start to collaborate with us and enter into the system. But if you want a farm, right now you make a book into our website. It costs 1,750 euro to acquire the booking. Um, and the total amount of cost is 35,000 euro, and you hire Shimejito to do everything for you. So
Hmm.
we set up the logo, we look for the buyers. We already have sold by the the farms here in Portugal the production, so we warrant the buy for the production. And that's it. You invest 35,000 euro. If you don't have enough money, you can enter into our game changer um, option there. So you get educated. You also can have right now our first online 4.0 agriculture bootcamp. So you can be educated, and after this course, you are allowed to start your own farming business here in Portugal with a lot of incentives for government programs, and that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Also, if you don't have enough money, but you are in Portugal, you still have a job, and you have another person just like you that want to enter into this, we got a partnership with the Millennium BCP Bank, so we can set up the farm for you. So money is not the truly necessary thing to start to enter into this. You can help us to sell our online courses and get paid for that. You get educated, and you'll be able to build your own business model. Also, I think you are acting as a community here, as a movement. So we have an option to buy a farm, but if you don't have it, you can enter in other ways and you can help. I think now everyone has have something to offer. It's important now, and time is important, and education is important, and know how to transform and communicate that it's important. So that's it, shimejito.com, and you can book your farm right now, access our online bootcamp, and make things start to happen. We need that.
Brilliant. We do. We so do. And, you know, I think we're in a very interesting period at the moment. We are still dealing with the pain of the old system, and we haven't come up with new ideas that really work, that are our movement away from the old, the painful old that wasn't working for the world and for most people. And yet we still haven't moved across to a more sort of utopian, useful way. And I think it's all possible. I think all the resources, all the money we need is available. It's just not in the right places at the moment. And that's what I feel this movement is about. You talked some numbers. There's some quite big numbers, as Donald Trump might say. There's an access point at 1,750 euros. The big, you know, to the farm off the shelf is 35,000 euros, which is a lot of money. But I'm saying that because I suppose because of my conditioning. You know, if you haven't got that sort of money, obviously it's a lot of money. And it would be easier for me, wouldn't it, to buy a car for 35,000 euros and get a loan probably than it would be to buy a business that is sustainable and gives me a livelihood. That's part of the problem here, I think, in our culture, is that you can invest in something that's kind of disposable. If I bought a car for 35,000 euros, I'd drive it off the forecourt and it would be worth 25,000 immediately, I suspect. And it would be a
Yes.
liability, as a house would be. When you have a house that you live in, it's a liability. It's not an investment. And this is the problem. We're not, banks don't enable, although it may sound like, you know, Millennium are there, are offering a chance for people to truly get into an investment that gives them a livelihood. Now, I urge everyone, talk to Shimejito, do your own due diligence with this, check out with these guys if you think they're people, you know, worth working with. I love their ethics. And you know, I think it's a conversation to have and to look into. We have some questions, Adriel. How much land is required to set up a mushroom farm?
That's a great question. We do everything inside apartments or container ships, so we just need 70 square meters to make a mushroom farm that produces 6 tons per year of mushrooms and can get to you a revenue of about €1,000 net profit per month.
Okay, well, all right. And just as an idea of what 70 square meters is that what one of those containers is that you see on a container ship?
Yeah, exactly. The container, they are small, but we can achieve a good production of course, inside of it. But
Okay.
if you need to have the same amount, you just can buy 2 container ships and make all the installations because they have approximately 33 square meters. But
Okay.
since it's just for the fruitification part of the fungi, it's pretty cool. So if you have land but you don't have a facility, you can buy a container and buy our solution to install in your container also. That's another thing you can do. But the doing that thing that you were talking before, how to make this change for the old to the new,
Mm.
I think we have an opportunity here because the housing market is the first one that suffers a lot with the recessions. And we have a lot of available structures into cities. So our business plan already have the price of renting all that. So we open the company for you, the company rent a place, and this place is start to produce the mushrooms and can pay the loan, can pay yourself, and can pay the rent. It's all included into the business model.
Okay, and the lead time then, that sounds very attractive, that you would be able to earn €1,000 a month and grow 6 tons of mushrooms, I think you said. How long does it take to go to get to the production that you could take to market? Because, traditional business, people say, you've got to work on a business for a couple of years or something for it to break even. And then, terrible figures, statistics for how many businesses fail in the first 2 or 3 years. How quickly can you grow mushrooms that you can sell?
And that's the best part. First, we can sell the mushrooms directly for people, and we can transform the mushrooms so they are very valuable. So we can um, we we acquire the mushrooms for the producers. It's pretty much like the chicken industry does. But
Okay.
dog, yeah, it's a thing. You buy your baby chick and as a chicken farmer, okay, and you grow the chickens up to 60 days when they are ready to be slaughtered and transform the meat. Our process is somehow similar. You're able to sell your mushrooms for your own community, but since you are on the internet, you have tools to know which place we have more demand. So we also can put together the productions and negotiate with supermarkets, so we can warranty the basic production. And the best part of the mushrooms are the market. It's the demand is too high. Most of the mushrooms that are consumed in Europe or even in America are imported from Asia. So we
Oh,
can increase our own production right now using things that we already have here. And that's it. We have local costs, and you don't need to use any foreign material to produce the mushrooms. We pick up places where the price to install business is easier. That's why the countryside of Portugal is just perfect. Actually, the countryside of Europe is perfect because you have young people moving for other cities, but you need to establish these new green belts for production around the cities. So that's
yeah,
what's important here. And since Europe it's a continent that has a lot of countries and a lot of distances, do that locally just the perfect spot to start. So
fantastic.
that's why it's the right time, and use those apartments that are available right now and can't generate revenue for people that already have it. It's
Yeah.
just the uh, another factor into this equation that make us easier to connect with the existing market because people want to rent apartments.
Yep. And the other thing, no chickens are harmed. A vegetarian project and product. So you mentioned the sort of chicken production life cycle. I didn't realize, those creatures were slaughtered in 60 days. Sounds really grim compared to the beautiful picture you showed of a chanterelle mushroom, I think there. Or is it an oyster? Yeah. More questions. So am I right in saying you're effectively selling a franchise from Neil?
No, Neil, you're wrong. Our model is look like a cooperative, actually, not a franchise. Because in a franchise, and I think it's a bad practice of the movement, people are gaining for the idea, but are not actually working for the purpose anymore. And somehow you can see in examples like Subway and McDonald's what's happened. So we're not a franchise because we are partners. Shimejito owns 20% of each farm. That's how we make money. We make money together. So the risk and the compromise, the commitment to be every time better into the technology and other solutions, it's our main function. So that's why you have free will into your business to quit anytime you want. You just need to sell your shares, and it's totally built into this layer of bureaucracy that states create to us. So you have a perfect corporation here working with a supplier that is us, the biofactories, and you sell that for your customers through our internet platform interface. So you're not totally free as a franchise. Let you to coordinate the operation. No, we coordinate together to orient the best practices into the markets and constant technology evolution.
Yeah, that was my first question to you, because again, we're always using the old language, aren't we? Or the models we know from the old world. So I thought it sounded to me like a lot like a franchise, but it makes sense what you're saying there. Another question, how about water supply? What is required in terms of water supply? From Eloise.
Eloise, we can save 100 times more water to produce the same amount of protein with mushrooms. So use a boat 15,000 liters of water per month to produce 500 kilos per month. So with the same amount, you can produce just 1 kilo of beef. Yeah. And that's it. You don't need the current water system for your house or for your apartment, your structure for the city. Get enough water to produce, and that cost is included into the business plan.
Okay, so there you go. I think we should conclude. We will be talking again to Shimejito for the next 3 Fridays to dig deeper into this. And obviously, I think people are conducting their own mushroom experiments on their small holdings and farmsteads, homesteads. I see Druba saying there, start small but learn all the steps first. I think it's a really good idea. I did do my unboxing in the last show, showing you my mushroom plugs that we've had sent from the UK. I think, would you recommend that, Adriel, for people to just experiment and see how they go with it?
I totally recommend that because as everything, you don't know nothing. Yeah, actually are being confronted every time. So since you're talking about risky business here, it's important that you get comfortable to understand our logic, because there is a lot of logic. That's why we are doing what we're doing right now. We work with the University of Lisbon, now with the Estonian government also. But the thing is, we need to get educated before, and the major part of education now it's learn to learn. You know, school make us seek for right propositions, right questions. But the best part is you can enter it just studying. Enter into our website, follow us into our social, get involved with the contents, ask for a call to know how it works, receive your own pitch deck to study that. make the booking for your farm. You get 10 days to option to go further with the business. Okay, so that's it. We are here to slow down the movement of just invest on paper to invest in something that will be yours for the rest of your life, for time, for your kids, for the future generation. So you want to get the better with it, and that's it. I think it's the perfect sentence. Start small and grow quick, and grow quick when you're ready. Okay,
Okay.
just like the fungi.
Good suggestion, Drew. But questions are coming in now. So we can invest financially and you grow the mushrooms and we get a net return, or we actually set up our own farm and you distribute, sell to the suppliers and take 20% of the profit. Adriel, it's the latter, isn't it?
Is exactly you can the second option and not exclude the first one. Okay, you can be in Japan right now and you can start a farm where Shimejito will start in our journey of expansion here in Portugal or in Europe. So you don't need to be there. But if you have an apartment, if you have time and want to get involved, if you want to set up the farm and know the process and give the production just to us to make the distribution, if you follow all the steps properly, you can run your own business. It's our main objective here. So that's why we created a 3 years program. So you invest first and you learn how to manage your farm and you'll be successful for sure into not just use that for Shimejito, but for other ideas that you want to start open that.
Brilliant. Okay. That was from Neil again. Is the 35K a one-off investment and how many years return at what percentage would I expect to receive? That sounds like it might be worth having a phone call with you as a one-to-one, I think, right?
Yes. And that's it. You invest 35K per year. You have 12 months of restriction period because that's the time to set up and install the farm and start the production. And you get the return after 36 months. So it's a total of 48 months, okay? And for the return of your investment, but you start the operation in break even. So you receive more or less 12% a year, okay, for the operation.
Okay, cool. Okay, I think Neil, you're diving quite deep into the sort of detail there. I suggest a call with Adriel and the team. And another final question, because I think we should wrap up. We had a technological breakdown, so we've gone on a bit longer than we might have done. We do have 3 more connections with Shimejito over the next 3 Fungi Fridays. But final question then for today. Do you do any mini packages we could trial with? I guess that's your kind of boot camp experience, isn't it?
Yes. Now you can start the boot camp and make your booking. We'll release the first class in July. It costs 520 euros. Okay, and you have 190 hours of how to be a farmer, how to know more about the process, and you get a certificate to ask for the European government for small production. So you'll be able to run your own business, build your own business with this course. So that's it. This is the mini pack that you have right now. It's called the Online 4.0 Agriculture Bootcamp. It's in our website also.
Terrific. But okay. Sorry, Adriel, carry on.
Yeah, if you want receive all this information, you can subscribe into our newsletter in shimejito.com also, and we send for you all the landing pages, all the programs, everything you need to know about the education program and the farm program.
Fantastic. Okay, so finally, we are about learning the language here as well, as a lot of expats, immigrants, explorers coming here. Have we got this right? Cogumelos, fairly straightforward. Fazendero, is that the right word, fazendero, for a farmer, or is it an agricultor?
Both are farmers.
Okay.
So But fazendeiro is related to big plantations. Fazenda is a big plantation, and farm it's a small farm. Okay.
Okay.
And it's so you have agricultor, fazendeiro, chacareiro, produtor.
Oh, typically Portuguese. Okay, so lots of options. And then I know business is negocio, isn't it? But starting a business would be an empresa, correct?
Exactly. Empresa is like enterprise or company.
Enterprise. All right. Thank you for helping us with our vocabulary and the language as well. Adriel, it's been great to talk to you. Sorry about the technological bumpiness, but we'll be back. We'll get over that. And this will be available as a podcast and on YouTube as well. And I look forward to talking to you or one of the team next Friday. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody for your comments as well. Have a great day. Bom fim de semana.
You too. Bom final de semana para todo mundo. Everyone take care.